Her body rejected every species, except the human who shocked them all. The orbital station Helix Prime floated quietly between three star systems. It was not a place of beauty. It was a place of answers, or at least that was what the galaxy hoped. Inside the central medical chamber, dozens of beings watched through clear panels and floating screens. Some had eyes. Some used light sensors. Others read the room through vibrations in the air. All of them were focused on one figure lying inside the containment field. Ambassador Sarathalin had not moved in over 6 hours. Her species was old, older than most. They were known for calm thought, long memory, and fragile bodies. Sarai was considered strong by her people, yet even she could not survive normal contact with the galaxy. Her body rejected everything, not just touch, not just air, even presence. Most species could not stand within 10 meters of her without causing her immune system to collapse. Machines had to be tuned carefully, light wavelengths filtered, gravity adjusted to exact limits. One wrong setting and her body reacted as if the universe itself was an enemy. Doctors had tried for years. They had failed. Today was supposed to be another failure. Status unchanged, said a floating medical unit. Immune instability holding at critical balance. The gathered observers felt the familiar disappointment. Another meeting. Another reminder that some problems could not be solved, no matter how advanced the science. That was when the door opened. No alarm sounded. No warnings appeared. A human walked in. He wore a simple station uniform, slightly loose at the shoulders. His hair was dark and unstyled. His steps were careful, not because he was afraid, but because he had been told to not disturb anything. His name was Evan Cole. He was not a doctor. He was not a diplomat. He was a systems engineer sent to recalibrate environmental sensors that kept drifting out of alignment. "Sorry," Evan said quietly, stopping just inside the room. "Didn't know this chamber was occupied." Several observers reacted at once. "Human, halt," one voice said sharply. Another shouted, "Remove him immediately." But before any command could be completed, the medical unit spoke again. "Alert canceled," it said. The room went still. "Repeat," said a senior researcher. The unit paused, then responded, "Immune response stabilizing." Everyone looked at the screens. Sarai's vital readings were changing, not worsening, improving. Her breathing slowed. The dangerous spikes in her immune system softened, smoothing into patterns no one had seen before. "This is impossible," someone whispered. Evan stood frozen, hands raised slightly. "I can leave," he said. "Just tell me." "No," said the lead physician. Her voice trembled. "Stay exactly where you are." Evan obeyed. The containment field shimmered softly. For the first time since Sarai had arrived on Helix Prime, the field adjusted itself, not to protect her from something, but to allow something closer. Her eyes opened. They were large, dark, and filled with confusion. She looked straight at Evan. The chamber held its breath. Sarai had not opened her eyes in the presence of another being for over a year. Her voice, when it came, was weak but clear. "The pain has stopped." Shock rippled through the observers. "Can you identify the cause?" the physician asked the medical unit. "Analyzing," it replied. "No environmental threat detected, no chemical intrusion, no energy fluctuation." "Then why?" the unit finished its analysis. "Cause identified," it said. "Human presence." Silence fell like gravity. Evan blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" The physician turned slowly toward him. "You are causing a positive biological response." Evan frowned. "I'm standing." "Yes." He looked down at his boots, then back up. "I do that a lot." No one laughed. Sarai shifted slightly, a movement so small it would have been ignored on any other day. But here it was a miracle. "You are loud," she said, studying Evan, "but not sharp." "I thank you," Evan said, her lips curved faintly. For her species, it was almost a smile. Around them, scientists rushed to record data. Sensors adjusted. Screens filled with new patterns, stable patterns. "This contradicts everything we know," said one observer. "Human biochemistry should be just as incompatible as any other." "More so," another added. "Humans are biologically chaotic." Evan shifted his weight. "Hey, I'm right here." The lead physician ignored him. "Run full comparative analysis. Immune markers, neural stress indicators, everything." The medical unit complied. Minutes passed. No alarms. Sarai's breathing deepened. Color returned to her skin. Evan felt suddenly uncomfortable, like he was doing something wrong without knowing how. "Should I sit down or stand differently?" Sarai's gaze followed him. "Do not change," she said quickly. He froze again. Her eyes softened. "When you move slowly, my body does not panic." The observers exchanged glances. "That makes no sense," said a xenobiologist. "Human movement is inefficient, asymmetrical, full of micro-errors." "Yes," the physician replied slowly. "And yet it works." Evan swallowed. "Look, if I'm helping, that's great." "But I really don't know why." Sarai studied him carefully. "Neither do we," she said. "That is why it is important." She closed her eyes again, but this time not in pain, in rest. The containment field lowered by 1 more degree. Gasps echoed through the chamber. "Record this moment," the physician said softly. "History is happening." Evan felt sweat on his palms. "Am I allowed to leave later?" Sarai opened one eye. "Later," she said. "Not yet," he nodded. "Okay." Outside the chamber, messages spread across Helix Prime. Then across nearby systems. Then farther. A problem thought unsolvable had changed. Not because of advanced technology, not because of careful planning, but because a human had walked into the room and existed exactly as he was. And for the first time in her life, Sarah Thalen felt safe sharing space with another being. The galaxy had just learned something new. Humanity had too. Helix Prime had never been this quiet. The medical chamber was usually full of movement, machines humming, lights shifting, observers coming and going. Now everything moved slowly, carefully, as if the station itself was afraid to disturb what had begun. Evan Cole still stood near the containment field. He had been there for over 3 hours. No one asked him to leave. No one asked him to stay. They simply kept watching him and, more importantly, watching her. Ambassador Sarah Thalen lay resting, her body calm in a way the galaxy's best doctors had never seen. Her breathing was steady. Her immune readings, once wild and dangerous, now followed gentle patterns. "All systems stable," the medical unit reported again. The lead physician leaned back slowly. "Say it one more time." "All systems stable." A soft sound moved through the chamber. Relief, wonder, fear. "This should not be possible," said Dr. Halling, a xenobiologist whose species had mapped more immune systems than anyone else alive. "Humans are biologically inconsistent. Their immune systems are aggressive, overreactive. Sometimes," Evan said quietly, "they're just tired." Everyone turned toward him. "I mean," he added, rubbing the back of his neck, "our bodies don't really expect things to be perfect. We get sick. We heal wrong, we adapt. It's kind of messy." Dr. Halling stared at him. "Messy biology does not create stability." "Maybe not on purpose," Evan said, "but it keeps us alive." Sarai opened her eyes. The room froze again. She turned her head slightly, enough to see the screens floating above her. "You are arguing about me," she said. "Yes," the physician admitted, "but only because you are alive." Sarai considered this. "I was alive before." "Yes," the physician said softly, "but now you are not in danger." Sarai looked at Evan. "He has not moved much." Evan blinked. "I can move less." "No," she said. "This amount is acceptable." Data flowed across the screens. The medical unit spoke. "New correlation identified. Human biological signals are not aligning with the ambassador's immune system. They are being ignored." "Ignored," Dr. Halling repeated. "Correct," the unit replied. "The immune system does not recognize human presence as a threat, nor as compatible biology. It registers it as background variation." The room went silent. That means, the physician began. That means, Dr. Halling finished slowly, her body does not feel pressure to respond. Sarai closed her eyes again. For my entire life, she said, existence felt sharp. Every presence demanded reaction. Evan frowned. Even conversations. Yes, she replied. Your species speaks with rhythm breaks, breathing pauses, emotional variation. It does not demand symmetry. Dr. Halling's eyes widened. Humans are biologically noisy. Evan smiled weakly. We get that a lot. As hours passed, more scientists arrived. Human diplomats were notified. Medical councils demanded reports. But inside the chamber, something more important was happening. Sarai sat up, only a little but enough. Gasps filled the room. The containment field lowered another fraction. No pain, she said, almost surprised. My body is waiting. Waiting for what? Evan asked. She looked at him. For change. The scientists worked through the night. They compared humans to every known species, optimized ones, engineered ones, perfectly balanced biologies. Humans stood apart. They were not efficient. Their immune systems attacked too much, then learned, then changed again. Their cells accepted damage if it meant survival. Their bodies tolerated stress instead of eliminating it. They are not designed for harmony, Dr. Halling said. They are designed for endurance. Designed? Evan asked. Halling corrected himself. Evolved. Sarai listened to everything. Perfection, she said quietly, is fragile. No one argued. By the next cycle, the conclusion was clear. Sarai's condition was not an illness. It was a response to perfection. Her species had evolved in an ancient environment filled with unpredictable threats. Over time, they survived by becoming extremely sensitive. Too sensitive. The modern galaxy, filled with optimized species, overwhelmed her. Humans did not. They were not smooth enough to trigger rejection. They were not sharp enough to cause harm. They were simply there. A message arrived from the Galactic Council. Send more humans. Evan's heart sank. How many? The physician looked at the request. A small group. Medical specialists, engineers, social support staff. Evan exhaled. Okay, that's fine, probably. Sarai opened her eyes again. Will they be loud? Some, Evan admitted. But we can tell them to be quiet, she nodded. That would be kind. The first human delegation arrived within 2 days. They did not bring advanced machines. They brought adjustable lighting, flexible schedules, food that could be changed easily, music that shifted tone instead of holding it. Sarai watched from her chamber as humans moved around the station. They bumped into things. They apologized to machines. They laughed at mistakes. Her immune system did not react. Instead, it adjusted. For the first time in her life, Sarai walked outside the containment field. Not far, just a few steps. Evan stayed close, not touching, just present. This is strange, she said. What is? He asked. My body is not asking what you are, she said. It is asking what happens next. Evan smiled. That's kind of our thing. Across the station, reports spread. Humanity was not superior. Humanity was compatible, not because it was perfect, but because it was. And somewhere deep in galactic space, the understanding began to form. The universe was not built for optimized life. It was built for those who could endure change. And humans had been practicing that skill their entire existence. The station Helix Prime no longer felt like a medical facility. It felt like a home learning how to breathe again. Humans were everywhere now, but not crowded. They had spread out naturally, leaving space where space was needed. They adjusted lights without being asked. They spoke softly near medical chambers. When something caused discomfort, they noticed and changed it. No orders, no rules, just awareness. Ambassador Sarah Thalen watched from a balcony overlooking the central habitat ring. She stood without support for the first time in her adult life. Her body felt undecided, not in pain, not afraid, just alert. Beside her stood Evan Cole, hands resting loosely at his sides. He had learned not to move suddenly. She had learned that sudden did not always mean danger. "You are many now," Sarai said. "Yeah," Evan replied. "We try not to travel alone, makes things easier. For you. For everyone," he corrected gently. Behind them, human voices drifted through the station. Some laughed, some argued quietly, some hummed music with no clear rhythm. The sounds overlapped, never staying still. Sarai waited for the familiar internal alarm. It never came. "My people believed balance was survival," she said. "Perfect response, perfect control." Evan nodded. "We tried that once or twice. Didn't work out." She looked at him. "So you stopped," he thought for a moment. "We learned to live with being uncomfortable." Medical teams continued their work, but it looked different now. Instead of trying to fix Sarai's body, they observed how it adapted. They noticed something important. When humans were stressed, tired, emotional, or unsure, Sarai's immune system did not react. It mirrored the uncertainty and waited. "That makes no sense," Dr. Halling said during a briefing. "Every other species triggers rejection through inconsistency." "Humans don't hide it," a human psychologist replied. "Our bodies expect stress. We plan around it." Sarai attended the meeting remotely, listening. "Humans don't project certainty," she said softly. "They project possibility." That statement spread quickly. Not everyone welcomed it. Messages arrived from several advanced species. Formal, cold. They questioned the safety of allowing humans near a diplomat once considered untouchable. They questioned whether humanity's presence was a solution or a risk. One message stood out. "If humans are required for stability, then humans hold power." The council was uneasy. Evan read the summary and groaned. "We really didn't want that." Sarai tilted her head. "Power is not your goal." "No," Evan said firmly. "Staying alive together is." The council requested a demonstration. They wanted Sarai to appear in a shared chamber with representatives from multiple species, with humans present. The doctors hesitated. Sarai did not. "I will go," she said. The chamber was prepared carefully, filters active, gravity neutral, light soft. Humans entered first. Then others followed, keeping distance. Sarai stepped in last. Every system watched her vitals. Her body paused, adjusted, waited. Nothing collapsed, nothing spiked. She walked to the center of the room and stopped. "I am here," she said. The room held its breath. "I am not protected by machines," she continued. "I am not alone. Humans stand near me not to shield but to exist." Evan stood a few steps behind her, heart racing. Sarai turned slightly. "Their presence does not solve my condition. It allows it." The council delegates exchanged silent signals. "This changes medical law," one finally said. "It changes how we see strength," another replied. After the meeting, Sarai sat quietly in the observation garden. Plants from many worlds grew there, each slightly altered to survive together. Humans had insisted on that design. "Why do you do that?" Sarai asked Evan. "Change things instead of controlling them," Evan shrugged. "Because control breaks when something unexpected happens. And adaptability, that keeps going." Sarai looked at her hands. They no longer shook. "My people fear that depending on humans makes us weak." Evan met her eyes. "Depending on each other is how we survived Earth." She considered that. Later that cycle, Sarai walked alone for the first time. Only a short distance, but it was enough. No alarm sounded. Her body accepted the moment. Across the galaxy, reports spread. Humans were not miracle workers. They were not healers. They were stabilizers. They did not remove danger. They reduced pressure. They did not dominate environments. They tolerated them. And that, the galaxy began to realize, was rare. A final report reached the council. Human biology is not optimized for success. It is optimized for continuation. Sarai stood once more at the balcony, watching stars drift past Helix Prime. "For the first time," she said, "my future does not hurt." Evan smiled. "That's a good start." The galaxy was changing its question, not who is strongest, but who can stay. The stars outside Helix Prime looked the same as always, cold, distant, silent. But inside the station, everything had changed. Ambassador Sarah Thalen stood at the central window, her hands resting lightly on the frame. She was standing without support again. No field, no emergency systems, just her body steady and calm. For most of her life, standing like this would have been impossible. Behind her, Evan Cole waited quietly. He had learned that silence was sometimes more helpful than words. The message from the Galactic Council floated between them, glowing softly. It was short. Proposal 4 INTERSPECIS Stability Program. Human participation required. Evan read it twice. That sounds big, Sarai nodded slowly. It is. The Council had debated for many cycles. They had argued over power, balance, and risk, but the facts could not be ignored. Where humans were present, fragile systems stabilized. Not because humans fixed things, because they allowed things to exist without forcing perfection. The proposal was simple, but its meaning was not. Humans would become official biological intermediaries. They would assist in environments where species could not safely interact. Medical facilities, diplomatic stations, multi-species habitats, not as leaders, not as rulers. As stabilizers, Evan frowned. People back home aren't going to like the idea of being called that. Sarai tilted her head. Why? Sounds like we're tools, she considered his words. Our hands tools, I guess. Then so are hearts. Evan did not answer right away. Across the station, preparations were already beginning. Humans worked alongside other species, adjusting spaces together, not forcing uniform rules but creating flexible ones. Rooms that could change shape, schedules that allowed rest, systems that assumed error and planned for it. Sarai walked through these spaces freely now. Her body no longer screamed at her for existing. During the final council session, she appeared in person, not through a projection. In person, gasps echoed across the chamber. She stood alone at the center, then gestured. Humans stepped forward, not close, not far, just present. I was born fragile, Sarai said. Not weak, fragile. She looked around the chamber. The galaxy taught me that strength meant control, precision, optimization. Her eyes softened, but perfection gave me pain. She turned slightly toward the humans. They did not heal me. They did not change me. They allowed me to remain. The chamber was silent. I propose, she continued, that humanity be recognized not as a superior species, but as a compatible one that does not demand harmony, one that survives without it. A council member finally spoke. This makes humans necessary. Evan shifted uncomfortably. Sarai nodded. So are stars, so is gravity, so is air. Necessity does not mean dominance. The vote passed. Unanimously, across known space, protocols changed. Human presence was requested, not everywhere but where things failed. Hospitals, refuge stations, first contact zones. Not because humans were strongest, because they could stay when others could not. On Helix Prime, life settled into a new rhythm. Sarai took her first unsupervised walk through the habitat ring. Evan followed at a respectful distance. You don't have to trail me, she said. I know, he replied. Habit, she smiled more clearly this time. My people asked if I wished to return home, she said. Evan stopped walking. Do you? She thought for a long time. My home is optimized, she said finally. Perfect, clean, sharp. She looked around the station. Here things are uneven. Yeah, Evan said, that's us. I wish to remain, Sarai said, as an ambassador, as proof. Evan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. I'm glad. What will humans think, she asked. That we're doing what we always do, he said. Helping without fully understanding how. Sarai laughed softly. The sound surprised even her. Cycles later, the first interspecies habitat opened. Humans lived there alongside species that had never shared space before. There were mistakes, misunderstandings, noise. But no collapse. A final report was submitted to the council. It ended with a single conclusion. Humanity is not the strongest species. Humanity is the one that can remain when strength fails. Sarai stood once more at the great window of Helix Prime. The stars no longer felt hostile. They felt open. Evan joined her. So, he asked, what happens next? She watched a distant sun rise beyond the curve of the station. Now, she said, we live. Together they stood quietly, not perfect, not optimized, but still there. And for the first time in galactic history, that was enough.